I love the title of your book, even though we've talked about it before. I understand, though, that now that the economy is improving a little bit, divorces are on the way up again.
That's right. That's right. People thought that divorce was down because people were trying harder, and it turns out divorce was down because it's expensive and they couldn't afford to get divorced.
Oh, boy. But do you believe in your heart of hearts that people really do want to try to stay together if they can?
I do. I think that even with all the changes in our culture and society, people do want to get it right the first time. People do want to make it work. I think there's just a question in many people's minds as to how. What do they do?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people think also that there's so much history here. It's just easier to chuck it and start over at the same time. I guess we're warring within ourselves with these two conflicting emotions.
That's right. And I think it's because there's so much history that we do need to try to work it out, because the history is something that's very precious. And a lot of the couples that I've met who were on the verge of divorce, they pushed through partly because of the history. They felt, hey, there's so much history here. Hey, it's special. There's something that we built together. Let's see if we can make it work.
That's why it's so sad in so many ways. You get a couple who are in their 50s or 60s or, heaven forbid, 70s, and they're splitting up. You think, what? We got through the hardest part, and now? What's that all about, do you think?
I think they're buying into this whole, wow, we got to get out there and try something new. Pat, I was sitting in my living room about 2 months ago, minding my own business on my computer, and up comes this ad, just a 15-second ad that says, "Life is short, have an affair." I was shocked. I'm like, what? Yeah, there's this website that's like, they're all into helping you find an affair partner. And it's crazy. It's like people, to be committed and loyal today, it's like you got to fight for it. It's absurd. Well, and so there's all this stuff, just like we're affected by advertising and what we buy products, we're affected by all this garbage.
I think you're right. You mentioned the divorce culture, and I think that's right on what we have. Mentioning fighting, you talk about using arguments and disagreements to actually make your relationship stronger. How does that work?
Well, look, I'm not suggesting that you go look for the arguments. But on the other hand, research shows that avoiding conflict is one of the leading causes for divorce. So that people think, happy marriage is just this tranquil kind of experience, and that's not true. We're human. We have ups and downs. We have feelings. We have conflicts within ourselves, and we're going to have conflict within our marriage. And by the way, my upcoming book is about personality differences that couples contend with in their marriages. And the amazing thing is that we are attracted to someone who's different to us. That's who we're attracted to. So there are going to be conflicts. We need to learn how to work things out, to bring things up. So I'm not suggesting to go fight. I'm suggesting to learn how to bring the conflict up in a productive way.
And after the conflict is, quote unquote, over, to really let it be over probably is a good idea.
Yeah, it's not just letting it be over. It's to try to get to some sort of understanding that didn't exist before. And that's when I work with a couple, that's really what we're working for. We're not trying to get back to what it was. We're trying to get forward to what it never was, and it really can be. So conflict, I think, is a promise for some sort of growth, just like our own internal conflict, if we face it in a healthy way, is a promise for our own internal growth. So I believe in not being afraid of conflict. On the other hand, we don't want to marry someone who's so different to us in the values area. That's one thing that we spoke about last time. Personality differences can really work in balance as long as we have a common values foundation. So that's why in my book I really talk about, when you're dating, look for that common values on an ethical level that we see eye to eye.
And if you've been married for a while, the minor annoyances are what oddly erupt into these major arguments. Is there a way to overlook it? When we're calm, we can overlook the fact that he goes into the dishwasher and rearranges the dishwasher after you've stacked it. But in the moment, it's really annoying. Why bother putting the dishes in there in the first place?
Well, Yeah, and this is something we all struggle with. And the first thing I say to all of us who are married and really chugging through and pushing through, we have to remind ourselves when we get annoyed, because we all will, we have to remind ourselves, number one, what is our partner putting up with us? Because we're also a handful. And we sometimes get so stuck on what they're doing wrong that we don't see the bigger picture. So the first thing we need to remember is we are a handful and he or she is putting up with us. The second thing we need to know is that every couple goes through little power struggles or big power struggles, and anyone who's pushed through to true love knows that the secret is accept and allow. Accepting him or her, allowing them to be who they are. And when we get to this place inside of ourselves of accept and allow, those annoying things become less annoying. It's just, okay, he's also putting up with me, she's putting up with me, and all right, these are things that I need to accept and allow. And when we allow things to be and we let go, we're able to push through to a whole other level. I'm not saying we do this in one shot. It's a process, but that's the goal and the thinking process that we need to be shooting for.
That is so amazing. Accept and allow. That says it all, doesn't it?
It's big. It's big because the word allow, it just means let go. And when we let go of the things that are bugging us, and we let go of trying to change our spouse, we let him or her be who they are, and something really special happens in the relationship. It is a real shift. Because that's what we all want. We want to be allowed to be who we are.
You know, the word allow is almost better than forgive, because forgive is all this, has all this baggage, it seems to me. But allow is acceptable.
Yeah,
to use your other word, yeah.
That's right. Look, I'm not talking about, like crazy allowing, abuse and things like that. Obviously, we're talking about normal stuff that people, we all have to put up with. And allow means let go and just let him or her be who they are. And when we are in flow of who we are, that's really when we're more open to change and growth. So the irony is that all the things that you're wanting from your spouse, you're not going to get by being all uptight and upset and angry and demanding. But you might actually get them if you just allow them to be who they are and love them up.
And the socks on the floor aren't really that big a deal anyway when you come right down to it.
They're not. Now, again, a lot of these things sometimes are symbolic of other deeper things that the couple need to work through. So when a couple comes to me and they have a minor issue, sometimes really when we do the work, it's indicative of a more major issue that needs to be talked out. So sometimes a third party is really helpful in just trying to get to the bottom of what's really going on. If it's a fight that keeps coming up, if it's a topic that keeps, it's that hot spot. Sometimes it helps to get a third party and someone who knows what they're doing, not someone who's, you really need a good couples counselor who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, you're always fascinating. It's always fun to talk to you. Anything you want to throw out there?
Well, first of all, it's really been proven. Research is showing that divorce is contagious, that social behaviors in general are contagious, and we got to keep that in mind when we see people around us getting divorced. The research shows that if you have a sibling who is divorced or divorcing, you're 22% more likely to get divorced. If you have a friend who's getting divorced, you're 147% more likely to get divorced. And this is big stuff. So we got to be aware of the effects of our environment. And I think today, as I said earlier, when I was talking about these crazy ads, we got to fight for love. We have to fight for marriage. We have to fight for commitment. And just like, when I talk to the university kids and I say, does anyone want to be cheated on? No one wants to be cheated on. So that place inside of ourselves that knows that is the place that really knows commitment and knows loyalty, and we all have it. So I think we really got to pull together, feel that real commitment and passion for love, and go for it. Anything that's growing, Pat, anything that's growing, anything that's alive is growing, and anything that's growing needs to be taken care of. So that's the exciting view on life. If we are growing, we got to take care of ourselves. We got to nurture ourselves. And if our marriage is growing, we got to keep working on it.
Very well said. By the way, you're going to have to call me back when your book is done, your next book.
Yeah.
What's the title of it, by the way?
The title always comes later.
Yeah.
First, but I'm doing this research cross-culturally, and it is absolutely fascinating. In every different country, that we're different ages, different religions, doesn't matter. We're all contending with the same struggles with personality differences, and they're going to be there because we're attracted to these differences, and they're great if we know how to work with them. So I'm excited to share all this information with you and with the rest of the world out there.